The event has started, a recording is in progress, and the first people are joining us in the chat. Hello, Johnny is here. Some names I know. Tom is here as well. Hello, Tom. Uh, who's here? And a lot of names I don't know. It's also always cool. Welcome everybody who's interested in today's event. Maite is there. Hello, hello. Yes, letting people come in, but a good few have already started to join. So I'll do a brief intro, not to waste too much time. Hello and welcome to our online format MediaNet Games International introduces, where we shine a digital spotlight on interesting games companies from Berlin. Today, with Telescope Games, who have an interesting setup of being directly connected to a sister company, Telescope Animation Studios, which opens up a lot of opportunities in terms of transporting IPs between different media. And that is something that they had always planned. And I think that will always be also be part of the discussion today. Our moderator, as always, is Andre Bernhardt, who will lead us through this conversation, talk about the studio's history, um, their challenges, their successes, and their future plans. Before we start, I have a few short points to talk about and to say thank you. MediaNet Games International is a program of MediaNet Berlin-Brandenburg, whose network reaches beyond the games industry, connecting Berlin's and Brandenburg's media, creative, and digital industries to create meaningful connections and facilitate interdisciplinary synergies. The project is financed by the European Union through its European Regional Development Fund and the State of Berlin, namely the Senate Department of Economics, Energy, and Public Enterprises through its program for internationalization. Please make sure to follow our social media channels and find podcast episodes, event information, and the newsletter on our website at medianet-games.international. And now over to hosts Andre Bernhardt and our wonderful guests, Reza Memari and Mafalda Duarte.
Applause, applause, applause. Thanks a lot for this nice and kind introduction words, Florian. It's always a pleasure to be here. And Florian already introduced myself. I'm Andre Bernhardt, the IndieAdvisor, and I'm super happy to talk together with Reza Memari and Mafalda Duarte today about Telescope, the Telescope universe of the different studios, as well as the interesting topic of transmedia. So thanks a lot, everyone, for tuning in and making sure to not miss our conversation, which will also be available on... No, it will not be available. You have to stay here right now because not everything will be shared later on. You know, the real insights happening right now. And to keep this somehow a little bit interactive, there is this opportunity somehow here below where you can push the Q&A or F&A button and leave some questions to Mafalda and Reza while we are talking. And depending on whether it fits in, I will either sneak in your questions or we will sum it up close to 6 o'clock to make sure that you could also ask everything you ever wanted to know. Wow, there was a lot of introduction words right now, and I know the excitement of being invited and then not being able to talk. So first of all, super happy, Reza Mafalda, to have you here. Big welcome from my side. Please say hello to everyone's watching right now as well.
Hi, I'm Reza. I'm from Telescope Animation or Telescope Games. Yeah, welcome. I'm also seeing some names that I know, so nice to see you guys.
You brought the fans. That's great.
Yeah, we brought all the fans. And I'm Mafalda. I'm from Telescope Games. And yeah, I run the game section.
That's great. I mean, thanks a lot for the introductional words. I mean, the best thing to start would be like, you are representing like several companies right now, because the topic, as people might figure out and also tuned in today, is like making transmedia content talking about movies, games, animated series. How many companies are the both of you representing right now, and how does the telescope universe shape up?
At the current moment, it's 3 companies.
Yes.
There is basically mothership, telescope, and then there is Telescope Animation Studios in Hamburg, and
Yeah.
then there's Telescope Game Studios in Potsdam-Babelsberg.
Okay. And you span so the 3 companies span about around like also like 3 locations. So you're based in Babelsberg, you're based in Berlin, and also in Hamburg.
Yes.
Okay. And when you started out, I mean, what? Let's rephrase it. You started out with the idea, or what came first? Did you first came up with the idea of making a movie, making a game, the series, or from the beginning on there was always this idea it can't be separate silos or separate entities anymore. It's time now to combine all the different kind of medias and set up something that really spans from all the different silos. Yes.
I think so when we started this idea of starting Telescope, my business partner Maite Burkhardt, who's also here, hi Maite, we basically very quickly we knew that we wanted to start something that is spanning more than one thing. I have a game background. Maybe I should tell you a little bit about my background. I come from games, so I started in the 90s actually. For a video game company called Acclaim Entertainment. I don't know who still knows Acclaim. Usually people know Turok or Shadow Man.
Absolutely.
So those are the old days. And as some of you older people might know, Acclaim made a fortune with movie licenses. So for them, it was always the quick cash cow to slap a Batman logo on their cheap games and really just basically trick everyone. I mean, some games were good, but most of them were very fast turnaround. I think they produced the game in 12 months. So that was really where I came from. I was in product marketing, product management back then. And so when Maite and I decided to start something together, game engines were already becoming hot in terms of using them for animated movie or animated content. And so when we kind of put one on one together, we were like, oh, actually, why don't we think about using the game engine not only for films, but for what it's actually made for games. And so that's how it kind of developed. But certainly, to answer your question, the film idea was first. The feature film idea was the first thing that actually launched the whole telescope adventure for us.
And so, but it was part of the idea from the beginning on that you use like this kind of that you use game engines, which I can imagine at this time it was still quite expensive to use Unreal Engine.
Well, when we started 2018,
Yeah, okay.
Unity was the hot
Yeah.
thing. Back then, Unity was the hot shit. Is it allowed to say shit in this call? Anyway,
We beep it out later on.
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So back in the day, we were actually looking at Unity, but then Unreal very quickly kind of emerged as, hey guys, we're actually like maybe better in terms of the visuals. And then they came with the Mega Grant and all that stuff. And then it became very quickly clear that Unreal is the one. And no, we wanted games from the very beginning. We wanted game engines from the very beginning. That's why the whole studio was also, in our eyes, very innovative, and also in Epic's eyes, they keep to this day. They tell us that we're the only studio in Europe that is doing a feature film, a TV show, and a game on the same platform.
And so you went talking about as you started with your personal background. So you started in games, got back to movies, and got to movies, and now coming back to games. No, now it's the synthesis
No,
of
now it's
doing everything.
Mafalda.
Yeah.
Now it's Mafalda who's doing the games. it's too many hats.
Yeah.
I'm definitely running the game studio with Maite together, but Mafalda is our game studio director, so to speak.
Yeah.
So no, Mafalda is doing the game development side and the studio management and all of that. It's definitely a very complex thing. But yes, you could say I ping pong.
Yeah. So, and Mafalda, when did you tune in and join the ecosystem?
Yeah, so I also kind of started studying animation first. I didn't, but and then games was kind of a little bit of my first job because I studied art multimedia with a focus in animation, and
Yeah.
then out of the bat, I just joined this. It was a children book company that was also doing something similar in the sense that they're trying to have like this alternative transmedia approach to how they're doing their books. So they wanted them to exist in like this physical format, but also digitally, and that the digital format was interactive. So then suddenly I was in this interactive designer role that started to flow very much into games. And then I went to study games, to work in games, to run other studios. And then when I saw Telescope Animation looking for a studio director, producer that would have that closeness to animation and that worked in games, I was like, oh yeah, they're made for me, you know. And that's like how that I went full circle as well.
Oh, okay.
And she's an excellent designer. She really is an excellent designer. I'm always impressed when she draws something quickly, and I'm like, what? Yeah, so.
But where did you meet for the first time? I mean, Mafalda, you're not born and raised in Berlin, but you're from
Portugal. Yeah, I'm from Portugal, Lisbon, Portugal. I just found them in work with indies. I cannot recommend working indies enough. They do the God's work,
yeah,
and and we connect. Mila was the recruiter, and now a very good friend of mine. Nowadays, that and I remember like right there and then, not only did I connected with the job offer and with the
yeah.
company and all of that, but he also connect back with me, and then we're like, I don't know, it just made sense. And
Okay.
I remember Reza was like, oh, do you want to come to Berlin? I never visited Berlin before. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, how different could it be? Berlin sounds great.
No, it's super exciting when you were open to it and then you just did it. You just plunged right in. Yeah, yeah.
Is there a special story behind the studio name? Does it stand for something that we don't know yet, the telescope within Telescope Game
Ooh.
Studios?
All will be revealed. No, we were looking for some fancy name, as we all do when we start a company. And we were like, Maite and I were like sending each other text messages of words that we thought were like fun. And none of it kind of sounded nice, or it was already taken, or it was like, I don't know, it just didn't fit. And then
Yeah.
I was watching Star Trek Discovery. And you remember how the main character gets a telescope
Yeah.
gift? And I saw the telescope and I texted Maite telescope animation, and that's how we started the company. Later on, we were like, okay, now that we're actually called the telescope, we can actually, it totally fits our Maite's and my, and I guess Mafalda's too. All our like idea behind it is that you look through a telescope and you see things
Yeah.
differently. And this whole idea of like view the world through a different lens is really what we also stand for in terms of our stories. We really want to like broaden the perspective,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Talking about stories. I mean, later on we are also going to show some super early material, video material from the game. But talking about stories, I mean, we rarely have any transmedia teams here within this format so far. And I mean, when people come up with a games idea, I somehow think, okay, they have this eureka moment where they say this could be a good idea to adapt this kind of, I don't know, game mechanics together with this kind of genre and setting, and then you get the game together. How does this work out with like transmedia? Is it first of all, I don't know, the character that comes to your mind or the protagonist of the story that you want to see evolve through the universe of games, movies, and series as well? Or how does this work out? The creative process.
Well, I'm also a writer, right? So I write and direct the feature film
Yeah.
right now, at this moment actually. Not right now, but it starts off differently each time in our experience. I mean, we've only been doing this since 2018, right? So it's not like we have 20 years of experience, but or something. But it usually starts off with a good world idea, like
Yeah.
some cool characters in a nice world. And very quickly, usually we can tell, does this world give us enough opportunity to tell many, many different stories from different angles? It really is the world building, I think, that is the necessary part. Because if you have one character, you might get stuck with, you can't do Luke Skywalker forever. Like that's the thing. And it really is about like finding a rich
Jar Jar
enough
Binks.
universe.
No, just
Sorry?
kidding. It's about finding Jar Jar Binks as well. But I'm
Well,
just kidding.
exactly. Thank you. Like a full spin-off on Jar
Yeah.
Jar Binks. Yeah, but it really is the world. And in case of the Whale Singer, what bigger and better world is there than the oceans? There's just, I think, I forget the number. It's like we only know 17% of the
Yeah.
ocean. So it's like there is so much unexplored space where you can develop and tell stories that are fantastic and magical and whatever. We have another IP that we're starting that is maybe even bigger because it's an even bigger universe. And yeah, and so it just continues. Sorry, Mafalda, did I say everything? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would agree that 100% that universe is what supports, especially the transmedia aspect of it, because as soon as you have that, we can also, games are all about actions, right? That's like the verbs that you have in game design are all about like the things that you're doing. And if you have the universe that you can understand a little bit, what can I do in this space that is interesting? And for example, with the Last Will Singer, it's very like right away, even just for the title, you say, okay, I'm swimming as a whale. That's like that should be fun, as something new and explore to try on, and then the singing aspect of it, right? So it's right away connects that universe to the actions and to the gameplay experience that I want to bring.
And I think
Yeah.
maybe to add to that, sorry,
Yeah.
Andre, can I just add one more thing?
Absolutely.
Um, I I think coming from Acclaim, the experience that Acclaim was that I got from Acclaim was really valuable in this case,
Yeah.
because what they did is there was Batman
Yeah.
Returns, and then they made the game that is exactly Batman Returns, and it's the same story beats, it's the same soundtrack, it's
Yeah.
same poster, and that is kind of was cool, I guess, in the 90s, but that was not what we want to do. Like
Yeah.
our games, everything we do, we won't do the same thing exactly on two different platforms. We kind of decided as a goal to always tell a different angle of the universe within our different media.
That is, I mean, that is what I really want to get deeper into it because I mean, I guess more. I could imagine that some of the viewers are here just by seeing the fantastic artwork of the banner that MediaNet shared to lure people into our conversation here. But what are actually the three projects that you're doing right now in this universe of the Whale Singer? Maybe you can explain a little bit about that. So it all started with the idea of the movie or the series.
Yes, yes. It began with the feature film idea.
Yeah.
That was also the first project that got funded
Yeah.
right away. Then we
Funded by, sorry to interrupt you again, funded by
screenplay
investors or
funding.
medianet or Epic Mega Grant, because by
Uh,
a medium board you got it all. So
Yeah, we didn't get, I don't know exactly. Don't nagel mich fest.
yeah,
Um, but we got a lot of funding, basically
yeah,
all kinds of film funds. I should remember them right now. It's Hamburg, Moin, the Moin Film Funds, of course, FFA, the federal funds, the Besondere Kinderfilm, which is like a umbrella fund for children's and family media, which of course counts for this, and became the Bundeskultusministerium, the MFG, like a lot of funds joined the film.
how
Yeah, because like
maybe.
animation is expensive as well, like,
Is
right?
expensive.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also to just explain to the viewers that it's just like, I mean, federalism in Germany, most of us know about that, and I guess it's easier in the movie industry, of easier in film to get funding from the different parts of
Easier.
uh,
You
from
say
my
easier.
imagination, the grass is
From
always
our
greener.
side, from the film side, we're like, oh my God, the game funding is so easy. So it really is the grass is greener on the other side. Honestly, like
Okay.
we were like, wow, unlimited Bundesfunds. What is that? Because we don't have unlimited funds in film.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part. So anyway,
But you
where
managed
was
to
I?
catch some in film to start with
Yes.
with the feature film. That was The Last Whale Singer.
The
Yes.
Last Whale Singer. That is just
Yeah.
called The Last Whale Singer. Yes. That kicked it off. And then we started developing the game
Yeah.
idea even before Mafalda joined us. And that was just me writing concepts and trying it out. And we actually received some early funding with this from Medium Board, which was amazing
Yeah.
support. And I think then we also started the TV series, also
Yeah.
with the help from Medienbot and a Canadian fund, and that basically became the three projects. And maybe story-wise, the feature
Yeah.
film is basically the ground of the intro, so to speak, of the story of a humpback whale who needs to learn his song to save the oceans
Yeah.
from destruction. He has like a magic song, and the game is actually the prequel to the film.
Okay.
It's because the boy in the whale in the film um, has to kind of fulfill something that his father couldn't do.
Yeah.
And in the game you play the father of that boy.
Okay.
And the TV show continues after the feature film ends. So the TV show kind of continues the story
Yeah.
until there is a second feature which we've just started developing, which basically picks up again. So
Got it. And maybe you can also explain a little bit about the rise of the Leviathan is the name of the game.
Mhm.
How did this change when Mafalda got on board regarding the ideas you had before about the genre, not the genre, but about the gameplay mechanics and stuff?
Mafalda, I give the microphone to Mafalda.
No, it's okay. I would love to see how you perceive it. I think I changed everything. It was not everything. The game still calls the rest of life. There's things that stay the same. No, but I think I was very open in our interview. In the process, like I remember one of the first things that we talked about is that I believe that making games, it's not just about the things that you want to do, right? It's the games that you can do
Yeah.
with the budget, the team, and the timings that you have,
Yes.
and also within the market setup that you're in. Like in different times, just the audiences change and the trends change and the way they're interacting um, with games. And so when it started, the first iteration, which was like super helpful because it lets us know that where maybe not to go necessarily, but it started as this like action rhythm game
Yeah.
experience that it was a little bit you had a little gameplay section and then a lot of animation, right? Because that was the expertise, so it made sense, right? And so when I got on board, I told Hazel, if we do our job right, we'll have little to no animation breaks. And then that broke his heart because it was like, no, but this is what storytelling is like. And I think what we want to bring to the table is, of course, we want to use the language, the media language that we can use to support us. We all, like the game people are here. We understand that like cutscenes exist and they borrow from the language of films, and it is okay to have those things in your game, of course. But there's also that aspect of, you know, storytelling through gameplay. Like, how can we make these moments more playable than not? How can we make more emotional connections through through important gameplay decisions, to letting the player be able to do or not do something at a specific time, through the mooding and lighting of a space. And so that's like part of what we started to do. And then also, you know, just meet each other as well, because there was a point to everything that was being explored in the beginning. There was like a logic and a structure that we wanted to meet the film. So we wanted to exist within that universe, expanding it while still feel that they're connected. So there was a lot of back and forth to figure out, are we telling a story that makes sense within this universe? Is the character still the same that the character that exists in the film? You know, just making sure that we kept not like change it in a way that supported the strengths of the team and the strengths of what we thought it would be a better market space. For example, I changed it from this action rhythm thing to be more of like this musical adventure that is exploratory, that is cozy, that is like this more immersive experience. And by the end of the day, that was exactly what they were trying to do in the beginning, like to have a little bit more of this like calm in the ocean, of this space that you could just be there with this magical singing whale. And then it was maybe just how do we get there with the tools that we know? Because for us, we need to a little bit deconstruct even what those, like what a musical game means, right? Because in gaming terms, if we think we're playing with audio, therefore needs to be a rhythm game, or this is the only known aspect of it. And now there's like some other games popping up, like I will always say this name wrong, the Snufkin Moominville game.
Moominville.
Moominville, exactly. It just came out, and that game is a musical adventure as well. Very different 2D, another type of experience, but definitely a game that is also trying to break into this new gameplay genre. And so that's why we're after. It's after newness, and how can we break these barriers?
It was a very fascinating journey since Mafalda joined, because I mean, we got, you know, we needed definitely that a specific, like I want to call it other angle on thinking about it, because I very much approached the game at the beginning as it has to be the film as a game, but with a different story. And when my father joined, through discussions and tests and whatever, we very quickly, and the team, we kind of came to the conclusion, first of all, the market changed completely. It used to be easier, I want to say, like you said, easier to get a game of like 2 million, 3 million through. And now the market is considerably harder, it seems like, to every step. But also the target audience. Like I thought, okay, the film is a family audience film. Family in film terms means kids and grown-ups. And so I thought we can use the same asset style look-wise and go with it for the game. But then we figured out, actually, no, it's probably too young for gamers. It's probably gonna look too kiddie for gamers, and we're not Mario yet, where we can get away with kids style visuals and not be counted out as something that is entertaining. So I think very intelligently the team and Mafalda came up with this specific own look that is going a little bit older in age, but is part of the same universe, which is, I think, pretty cool. And we're doing the same thing since we're talking on the topic. We're doing the same thing in the other direction for the TV show. We're now actually making the universe, the feature films look, we're making it younger. Because for the TV show, we're really actually talking to kids mostly as the main audience. So we're changing the look and making it more kid-friendly for them.
So many things come to my mind right here. I mean, I wrote down like a million questions, and I'm completely walking off the path somehow, because the topic is so interesting, and I'm happy to talk with you about it. I mean, actually, there were some musical adventures for the older people that are viewing. Some might remember, or the LucasArts fans.
Loom,
exactly.
of course,
Right.
of course.
There is one. So you're
No, that is true.
you're standing on the shoulder of giants here. But what you mentioned in the beginning, Reza, I think is super interesting, because I know this as well, where there used to be the time where you have a simple platform game, you stick the Batman logo to it, and then you make some kind of Batman game out of it, where you are just Batman and doing some stuff on a platformer game, which doesn't really add up on the story that's behind the movie, or the story that's being told within the movies. And very often, as the license fee is so expensive to use the movie license, there's not much money left to make a proper game out of that. So it's great to hear that transmedia is not about just taking the assets from movie and putting it into a game, but to figure out the assets, to take over the assets from movie to game, but to figure out the essence which makes out the story somehow, and take this over into a game. So maybe now could be a good moment to show the trailer and talk us through the gameplay mechanics that are behind there, for people that might not imagine what the core of a musical adventure is. Florian,
Sure.
if you're still with us, now could be a good moment to hit. It's not a trailer. It's some work in progress, super early content, and maybe you can lower the volume, so Mafalda can tell us a bit of the stuff that we are going to see and which is happening here on screen.
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks
Yeah,
a
so
lot.
this moment is like a healing moment, basically. Exactly like, I don't know, in a shooter you have a weapon and you shoot things. In a musical, our goal is like that you sync, then that you act musically with the universe. So basically everything that we're building is mechanics where you only interact with the universe through your singing or your swimming as a whale, and that and now what we're making is that the uniqueness of singing exists through the interaction with the universe around you. So basically, if there's like a little a puzzle section, for example, you need to figure out what your singing does to the different objects around you. So maybe for some of them might make them heal up, and because they heal now, they have another action that exists there. And so now you can, I don't know, have a current, for example, and swim through it that wasn't there before, because now you heal the path. Or for example, you want to block a passage. So if you heal the structures around, suddenly it's blocked. And so that's the goal around it, is to figure that out. And one thing that we added, and that's actually like a very interesting part of this process of what it means to create this universe together, is that in the game studio could also pitch ideas that affect the film universe and structure, always based on the ground rules that the universe already had. But one thing that we added as like an extra bonus in the game experience is this idea of reaching out to ancestors, that your song, because the whales sing through generations, and they have these whale singers of the past, that you can also have that as like this opening doors to this magical place where you can learn new skills and then progress to the game and know a little bit more about it. And yeah, that's what it means for us to engage in this musical experience where music is all about progression.
Nice. Thanks a lot for explaining. Just to say it one more time, this was it's work in progress material. I mean, the game is supposed to be released in
26. Oh, yeah, 2026.
So
because our goal is like to have like this release strategy as well, like to again marketing to support each other. So the film hopefully is 2025, the film 2026, and so forth.
Right. So it's not even alpha what we have seen before from the material.
It's prototypes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. There's this question by Johanna, which I will just pass on because it fits quite well. And Johanna is asking like, is the goal of making the transmedia universe that the people who watches the movie also play the game, or do you expect? Now I'm just reading it. Do you expect the younger kids only to watch the movie and the older audience to only play the game, or all
Hi,
together?
Johanna.
Or
yeah, it's a good question, and the answer is we want everyone to play everything and watch everything, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think that was my kind of learning throughout this process, because I thought very much that it meant that it all has to look exactly the same. And I kind of looked at what Disney is doing in that moment. You might have heard of this company. And they have I don't know, 20 different looks for Finding Nemo, for different age groups, for different abstraction levels. And they create them as entry points into the universe, and to kind of get in touch with it. You can also grow up with an IP, right? You don't need to play the short game and be like, oh, we need to get everyone very quickly and then bye-bye. That's not what we're doing, obviously. We're setting this up so that you can either grow up with it, or, and that's another thing I should add, we're still, of course, when I say grown-up game or kids series, it doesn't mean that we are excluding anyone. It's like we really try to keep it valuable on a qualitative and narrative level, so that
and
it's not
targeted,
just
right?
and
Because
not
there's
just
like
screening.
there's something to be said that you're making something towards someone. Example in games, if you're making a game for little kids, like primary school, for example, you need to have your interface thought differently, right? Versus it's just like they wouldn't even have little hands that could hold certain controller types, or if you're making a lot of those games made for people with Alzheimer's, for example, like in old age, they of course are not going to be the same as an MMO, like with all the keys. They are going to have like simpler controllers. So if we understand that in that accessibility point of view, there's a lot of different things that come out in having a target audience. But then, of course, that's the beauty of having this transmedia strategy, is that we can then kind of push that audience throughout the different aspects of the IP. And you can see, I would say one good example, like there's a lot of good examples inside the Disney umbrella, because they were doing that with almost all of their IPs. But I know, for example, the Star Wars universe is a good example that something like the Clones War, there is more like kids series that is canon. And there's a lot of, the older adults are all inside that because they're like, they want to be in on it. And if you haven't had that experience, maybe you cannot consume the new, I forgot her name. What's the name of the character? Ashoka, yeah. For example, she was a character that was introduced in the cartoons first.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, or the comics.
Yes.
But
Comics.
So yeah, so that's an example how that even like that alternative thing of like comics or the children targeted audiences that become part of that mainstream thing that is like dedicated to the adults.
while talking, thanks a lot for the explanations. While talking about, okay, what's different between the different kind of medias or the media and the game that you're producing, there's still, next to the universe, there's still stuff that everything has in common. So you mentioned that before. I'm just wanted to repeat. So the game and the movie and the series, everything is done within Unreal Engine.
Yes.
Okay. And are the people who are making movies and series or animated stuff within Unreal Engines, are they compatible to the people that are making actual gameplay within
You mean
Unreal
on
Engine, or
the team level?
Yeah, not from a team level as well, but also from the kind of specialization. I don't know whether that maybe they tick different because they expect to have everything under full control because it's not interactive. They are doing everything their own, and they are not, I don't know, used to input, player input.
Well, the great thing is we don't have to worry about frames per second on the linear or non-interactive world.
Right.
But it's it's proven to be quite hard to find the right people for the animation side. There's not a lot of specialized Unreal Engine users that are not game producers, that are not game developers. So if you know anyone in this chat, I mean in this Zoom call, please let us know. We're really looking for great Unreal Engine animators or just filmmakers, so to speak.
I could also imagine that it's like, I mean, with most of, I don't know whether this changed me a while, but for a long time, most of the universities and high schools, everyone was using Unity. So I don't know how hard it is to make the jump over to switch over to Unreal and do the same or do fantastic stuff over there then.
Yeah, it's fragmented. There's also Blender. So there is like it's not just everyone is not. We thought that of course there's gonna be trillions of Unreal Engine people, but that was not the case.
No, but you're right that the school aspect of it is it's a big important thing. There was like a big monopoly that now lets also this could be a long conversation on school system of like teaching video game, but a lot of schools also like they focused on sometimes teaching the engine and not necessarily the thought structures around coding and how to translate from one to the other and things like that. And that definitely makes students in a bad situation unless they're very self-starters and go on to it. But I have to say, for example, in our game studio, our game designer was a person with more experience with the engine. Our programmer had only used Unreal for his own independent projects, or game artist the same. But it's just like there's this type of people, especially that you get in indie, and I have the best team ever. I can gush about them forever, and that
and we have the best
are they in
animation
the
team
chat
ever.
right now somewhere? Are they viewing?
I hope they are. No, because it is incredibly difficult, especially when you have a structure before. And the amount of times that I hear around the office, oh, if this was Unity, I knew how to do that, but like now Unreal is kind of messing me up. But it's just like that a very important aspect of discovery, and discovery through work. And I think that's something that is very important that Telescope has. And I think that a transmedia company needs to have is that openness to let people fail, experiment, and learn with each other. So the amount of times that we did something wrong in both sides, right? The animation studio is like, oh, we thought this was going to work this way, now it doesn't. And the game studio also thought the same. And then we just communicate a lot. Communication is definitely key. And try to support each other the most that we can, like share assets, share resources, just share sometimes like information, share friends. The amount of times they were like, oh, I have a friend somewhere, like in the game industry around here, I'll connect you with that person, let's just talk for a bit. And yeah, that's very important to be able to do what we do.
And I can tell you that your team is mirroring the love back somehow, because Nikola Koresevic, I don't know if I pronounce your name correctly, but she's just typing in here that they are all here.
Hi, Nikola.
Okay.
Yes.
Then Nikola, thanks for that. Was that? I know there's I'm not that good in talking about the tech and how it's being told these days, whether you learn animation via the tools or whether you can learn animation separated from the tools. I can't tell that, but I
You
know
can.
you have some history from some indie teams like Studio Fispin, which we had here recently, which came out of the Filmhochschule Ludwigsburg. There's some connection that a lot of people have this kind of movie background or film background and step into games. Was that one of the reasons also to set up the studio here, like, or in Babelsberg then? Well, because you had the idea of that Berlin is on the spearhead where different media are matching or mixing or coming together or could easily be brought together.
Well, I think it was Babelsberg was a great place to go because of the closeness of the studio, for
Yeah.
sure. Because there is a whole infrastructure that we could tap into if we needed it. And also in terms of just growth, we got a really great subsidized studio space, and it's like we felt like there was a hunger there for us to thrive.
Yeah.
And we wanted to take that offer or that all this excitement and start there. It made sense to us to go there.
Was Berlin Partner involved in bringing you here? Because I'm just seeing Birgit
Uh,
Reuter within the chat.
Brandenburg partner, very much so. Yes,
Brandenburg,
yes.
sure.
But I think Birgit Reuter gave us the contact back in the day. But this is years ago.
Didn't actually know that there's Brandenburg Partner as well. But
There is. Fernanda, she's amazing.
yeah, she's also here.
Oh, really?
I thought, at least briefly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very cool ecosystem to be at. For example, we have a dubbing studio called Lavender Film. They
Yeah.
are like upstairs, and they're so cool. They're the coolest. Me and Nicola like popped into one of their open days during Christmas, and we got to do a dubbing test for them. Just as fun. They invited all the neighbors to pop in there. And I think just that closeness with films, people that are working all around us, and that collaboration and that ecosystem is a great thing to be a part of.
Coming back to the technical aspect then one more time, because Tom also here in the chat asked the question, how does this work out? Do you have 3 completely separate teams? And I don't know, a critical, I can't see your finger. Is it two?
Oh, two teams.
Yeah, okay.
2 teams.
Okay, two teams working on that. And do you have a project manager on top of the 2 teams who's taking care of the critical path? Because I don't know, some stuff within the movie needs to be first done so you can use it in the game to bring it into the series.
No, I think it's like Mafalda said, we have weeklies. We are constantly in communication with each other. The Herstellungsleiter, the line producer from the animation side,
Yeah.
and Mafalda are in connection. On the development side, our technical director from the animation studio and the game engineer, the programmer Ian from our game studio, they are in contact. So our game artist and our production designer, they are in contact. So we definitely create all these. We want the communication because we never wanted to have like 2 separate entities that don't speak to each other and that somehow even feel like in competition with each other or whatever. So very much we from the beginning we wanted to keep them one family and feel like we're in the same boat when we are.
Yeah, and
we totally are.
And one thing that helps is always just knowing who the stakeholders are for the different decisions. Like for example, especially in the beginning. Now less and less, just because we had so many discussions. But in the beginning, we for example took more time into ideation and to establishing the initial rapport and to establishing that we all thinking the same way. Even when we're thinking differently, at least we're thinking differently about the same goals and objectives. And on my side, I needed to have that going on the studio side, what were the studio goals, what Telescope Games wants to be when we are 10 years of experience and we're around, and also what we want to have the project be. And so having that and that collaboration on that level, then we don't need to micromanage ourselves in the daily lives, because we know the goal is this, and so we just try to always reach that and collaborate with each other to get there. But it's very difficult, and just open communication all the time.
Yeah.
How does it work out when it comes to bring it out into the world, or trying to talk about partners here right now. I mean, you can't. I'm not too familiar with the movie industry, but I'm pretty sure you need some partners to bring the movie into the cinemas. And I can also imagine that you might be looking for a publisher to also bring that out into.
Do you have one?
You have one already.
Do you have one? No, do you have one?
Yeah, there are plenty of them. The question is, what do you want from them, and whether they want to give it to you at the moment. Yeah. No, I can imagine that there's something which won't be negotiable is when you build something like that in the transmedia world, you can't talk about the IP. The IP will always stay with Telescope then somehow. Or, I don't know, does it with movie publishers, or
we want to, I mean, at the current moment, we are striving to kind of hold control of the IP if we can. It always depends. Let's put it this way. It depends on who's knocking at our door, and it depends on what that setup will look like. And yeah, but of course, it's nice for the moment. That's why we started the company, or the companies, to do our own, I have to say it again, to do our own shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And when it comes to, sorry, Mafalda, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was going to say that I think it's also, it's just good business that we are enter partnership with someone that understands the strategy long term. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be even if the game publisher would be like, oh no, the IP is non-negotiable, and it's like, yeah, but if we do that, like you lose access to all of this other multimedia aspect of like these all other universes, other opportunities. Like we are going to be able to build these other things, and you are going to beneficiate from that, because there's like that means marketing, that means different like highlight opportunities. The same thing as when we released in game in multiple platforms and all of that. That means the possibility of having more projects attached to the IP that they're supporting, without their own extra investment, for example, because then we can get it elsewhere and do other deals. So I think at the end of the day, it's just also like meet good business people that understand that aspect of business, and making our case in a way that makes, again, business sense and number sense and all of that. It's not much that, I don't know, all publishers will want this one thing. All contracts are negotiable.
And just imagine that it's just like, okay, how do you separate, or whether it's possible at all to separate this, because you have a different publisher for, I don't know, the movie and the game, that the people who are publishing then the movie are saying like, yeah, but we also want some share of the game revenue, because our movie is actually some kind of marketing for the game as well. And if this one succeeds, we want a piece of the pie of the other successful business as well then.
Yeah, but I mean, that's contractual stuff, and I actually I'm the wrong person to talk about this. But it's all a very big puzzle. Is what I can say, because I have no idea.
Shout out to Maite, because she deals with that.
Yes. Maite is the master brain of this, and I don't know how it works, honestly. I look at it and I'm like, wow. Because it is literally 20 partners on the film side.
I can only imagine that it feels like a golden knot that you have to, I don't know, slice once to make sure that you figure out how this could look in the future.
No, and then there's co-production, right? I mean, it's a co-production with Canada and Czech Republic, so that comes on top of things. # communication. So
and then there's also the challenge of marketing. Then I can only imagine, because it's not just, I mean, how I can imagine that you come from you mentioned that before, then you come from the target audience, that you have this kind of people in mind that should be interested in playing the game and watching the movie and watching the series, but how to bring that all together to, approach the right channels, do the right campaigns to bring it all together. And that also, next to the timing, that everything, comes step after step.
I would add, by the way, that is part of why, for me, it is so important to partner. It's we thought about like self-publishing.
Yeah.
It's not off the table, but for me, that's why it would be so important to have a publishing partner, because I think it's just like the sheer size of that versus we being a small team, and I think the expertise that someone can bring to look at this as like this puzzle and have excitement about how can we contribute and be a part of this structure. I think that's also something I think of value that we're bringing to a partner, that this would definitely be a cool thing to have in their portfolio, that it would be probably for a lot of even game publishers, the first time that they would going to do this cross platform, cross media, cross everything strategy. And how can they use this one marketing? How can they support us into how to best use our own deadlines to collaborate with the deadlines from the film and from the TV show and so forth. So yeah, I think it's exciting, honestly. For me, it's a lot of work, but it's like super cool.
I see it also as a big challenge, because German films, at least, somehow don't enjoy a lot of love from German audiences. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but that's a different topic. But so I think I'm going to be very excited to see how our transmedia approach with gamers and families being aware of this at the same time, how that can hopefully create like kind of a, how do you say it, multiplying effect on the audiences. That would be amazing. It's our big dream. Let's talk in 3 years, basically.
Fingers crossed. Johanna is just mentioning that German games also tend to not get much love from the German audience. Yeah, okay, that's
it's so funny. We do such great work, but it's somehow our own whatever people don't want to watch it or play it. It's strange.
I just want to say, don't feel bad. I think we all suffer from the same thing. From Portugal is the same thing. It's
the
really? Exact same thing. Yeah. We're all the same, well, different. Except the French. I think they like their own things.
Yeah, French. The French people tend to love animation too, which is great.
Oh, yeah, right.
No, I mean, we're certainly here to break we're here to break the mold. We're really here to break the mold. I hope it works.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it as well. I can only say, like, I can only imagine the challenges of you like doing something which is rarely done successful before. So it's not that you simply look out to other successful companies who did that already. I mean, somehow you're using the machine while you're actually building it at the same time somehow. And I can only imagine that it's a lot of challenges, but also a lot of fun, because I mean, it's real innovation that is happening right here. And I mean, that's Berlin has some kind of history where this transmedia shift already happens, where we had, like, when you think about Heart of Darkness, Apocalypse Now, and also Spec Ops: The Line, which are all somehow interconnected as well. Will you also go the full circle and also come back where you just write down a story in the Whalesinger universe, then in the end, and release it next to game, movie, and series, a book, a story?
Definitely. I mean, that's automatically happening almost.
Yeah.
We will have novels, and we will have children's books, and we will have interactive storybooks. That's coming. Automatic, almost.
I think that's one of the first things that I told you that I want to do. It was like, oh, let me do an interactive little book for this. And
Yeah.
we put it in the list. It's like the wish list of things that we want out of it.
We don't have enough time in one day. Let's
No.
put it this way.
Yeah.
No, it's very exciting. It's super exciting. And I think you saw it right that we are building the machine while we're using the machine.
Yeah.
And there is so much excitement and love and passion in this team. I'm very grateful, honestly. Like it's a whale of a project.
I guess we could share some of your energy in that. So thanks a lot for sharing. I already got the message that I need to be careful about the time.
Oh, yeah.
So one last thing then, I mean, you summarized it quite well, how exciting it is to work on the project right now. For all the people that are excited as well right now, as well here in the chat, what is the best kind of social media to follow you or to get updates on the project and to stay in contact with the progress of the whole Singer universe?
Yeah, we just launched our brand new website, so please go there, subscribe, because we are trying to build a mailing list for whenever we have our first
how is it called, the website?
Playable, telescopegames.com.
Okay.
I can, yeah, www. all of that. And we are mostly for now Twitter and Instagram. We don't have Facebook because it's dead. I'm sorry, guys. It is. And we in LinkedIn, of course, in LinkedIn. Yeah. And we've been looking into all the alternative media for the Twitter now X, but it's an adventure. We are waiting that the community decides what's the next thing to come.
Yeah, and I'm actually waiting to be big enough to have a community manager because I think that would be amazing. It would be so nice to have all this time to reach out all the time. But
we for sure want to launch a Discord around like Q2. But let's see how that goes. Sign up. If you sign up, you'll get the email saying that exists.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
So, Reza, Mafalda, it was a real pleasure talking to the two of you. Thanks a lot for sharing, for taking the time and sharing your insights into the Wellsinger universe and tell us all about the different parts of Telescope coming together, making great movies, series, and games, and even books then in the future. It was a real pleasure. Hopefully we can do this in a few years again and see then where it has taken you meanwhile.
I'd love a recap. Yes, yes.
Thanks a lot, everyone who was watching, for being with us. Don't forget to go for Telescope Games. Telescope Games.
I will write. I know I can. Telescope Game.
I guess Google does the job somehow then.
Yeah,
thanks a lot for being with us. Make sure to follow Telescope on every social media account, on the website, newsletter, whatever you can find. Thanks a lot, MediaNet, for having me here. And the three
Thank you, MediaNet, for having us.
Opportunity. So in the end, it's time for crazy waving and saying goodbye to everyone, and hopefully
thank
see
you,
you all.
Andre.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.